My name is Gerard Nartey. I'd like to borrow the words of my mentor, the late Bob Pixel. He said that he is an artist and photography is his medium of expression. I like to think that the work I do is beyond just clicking a camera or just doing photography. When I started taking pictures, it came from deep within me, and I felt that what I was doing was a translation from maybe composing things on paper into capturing real life in ways that people did not ordinarily observe. So being able to capture this and say that this is art, for me, is different than the vocation of using a camera to capture an image. I can remember the first set of pictures I took. Analog ones, I can't really remember. But for the digital ones, I was in Achimota School, Form 1, and I had been reading photography books and things prior to that. And so I felt as though one day I would do photography as a hobby. So one of the earliest pictures would be the Achimota School administration block. It will be difficult to say that I have a style. I do what appeals to me or how I feel. But generally, the things that matter to me are capturing authentic moments and photographing people in the way that I feel is true to them. I feel that I provide people a different experience because for me, the portrait session, for instance, becomes an interaction where I am having a conversation with my subject and I'm photographing their expressions. I've come to learn a lot about people, come to really respect people, see where people are vulnerable, and through listening and interacting, I've been able to sort of help people talk through their problems. When the synergy is very good, I tell people that sometimes it can feel like romance. If you're working with someone and everything you tell them to do, they understand it, they assimilate it, and it shows in the results. You are happy, they're happy, and it feels like a very great experience. Some people will really tell you that maybe you boosted their confidence, or they never imagined they would enjoy a photo shoot so much. One of the other things that really appeal to me is traveling and taking landscapes. Beyond that too, I walk about town with my camera a lot and do street photography. One thing that I've always thought is that other people come to our country, they capture things that we see every day but we do not really regard as something worthy of photography. And they go back and they make a lot of money out of it. But beyond that, it is like they're telling our story. Your understanding of maybe the cultural practices and things will be different from a foreigner coming in. So even if you're shooting, say, a festival, you anticipate a shot in a different way from the way somebody who's an outsider would. So as a local creative, I think it is important that we look into our own space and find what's important for us to document. Because if we don't do it, we will lose it or somebody else will come and capitalize off it. Apart from the two upper regions, I have been almost everywhere for different purposes. Sometimes I go to photograph a festival I haven't seen before, but I enjoy the beaches towards the west, around Exim, then back towards the east, around Keta. I'm in love with the Volta region and its mountains. Early mornings in the Volta regions are just beautiful. I spent some time in the north documenting the share industry in the north, and I really got to appreciate the people there. The first time going to the north was like sort of going to a different country. It's different in the way it presents, the people, the lifestyle, the mode of transportation, the weather, and the north can be very vibrant in very different ways, and it just takes you to appreciate how different it is to what you're used to. I always say that I'm not the best person to talk about business of photography in Ghana, but photography is not the easiest thing to make money from, or art is not the thing to make an easy living off of until you reach a certain level of acclaim or popularity, or your work is very sought after, or maybe in a certain period you are what's trending, and so you are what is in demand. But then these things are somewhat short-lived. Also, it can be seasonal. So if you're not able to pace what you do throughout the year, it can be very difficult. Sometimes too, it seems like you have to enter a certain space or cloud to be able to make money off your photography. You have a lot of people providing the same services, and so people have alternatives, and usually they look for the cheapest alternative. So that brings the value of the market down, because there are people who do work for very cheap just to get by. And photography is something that we invest very heavily into. A person with a backpack has equipment worthy of buying him maybe a car or two, right? And then he shows up to a job where the client does not understand that his value is this much, or his experience and the fact that he immerses himself in what he does is what brings his price to that much. And if you're very stringent on how much you charge, or you charge what is strictly your value, you can go hungry. But ultimately, the dream is to be able to do what you want and have people buy what you do. I used to say that if I can travel and take landscapes in the places that I go, and I come back and people are just waiting to see what I have to buy it, I would never have to do a job that I'm not happy about doing. I think that creative space is lacking in a lot of creativity. I find that a lot of us don't do original work. We tend to replicate what we've seen done elsewhere before. And for me, that is not being creative. I find that creativity, or in my opinion, creativity comes from within. You can sit, dream, think of something, and then bring it to fruition. That is being creative. It is creating. But when you take something you've seen and you replicate it, it's an imitation, right? Now, I know that it takes imitating something to learn how to achieve it. But when all you do is replicate something you've seen, you can't say that you're being creative. Your development is not born within. You haven't immersed yourself into it. I'm all for taking something and seeing how you can improve it as part of your creative journey. That, in some ways, is also creation, in my opinion. But in our landscape, especially photography, I see photos and concepts that have been replicated so many times, and it seems like nobody is really doing anything different. And we are in a unique space where I think the whole world is looking at Africa now. And so if we're able to show who we are, or we're able to show our thought process by what we do, it will leave such a mark globally that will cause shock waves. But then there are some people who do very great work. Unfortunately, maybe they are under the radar, but you really see who they are and what they do. And I think that a few people are doing well. If we look at who we are, our interest, and find a way to create or have our art be inspired by it, creative space will be much, much, much better. I can say that I love doing what I love doing, if that makes sense, because people wake up to go to work and they dread having to wake up and go to work. I voluntarily wake up at dawn to go to the beach to capture sunrise, and at the end of it, I come back with the picture of a moment that will not happen again, right? And I can share that with people, and they also get to appreciate what I saw, or they appreciate nature in a way that in their everyday life they would not have had the time to. So if they find value in that, they may purchase it and put it somewhere where they can also reflect off it. I've had people call me and say that at the end of the day, maybe they got on social media and they saw a landscape I posted, and that brought them some peace, and they actually calmed down and reflected on it, and it brought them some happiness. They haven't purchased it. I haven't directly benefited anything, but I've sort of been able to give somebody some joy and happiness somewhere.